Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming here today. And today is just our Encore update about the export markets. And we have three speakers in here today. First one is myself. People who don't know me and know me, it's Hari Irina. I've got 14 years business experience in Melbourne. And basically, I'm an investor. I invest in media, real estate, restaurants. I've been doing farming contracts from last 7-8 years, as well as I'm an exporter from last 2 years. So the next speaker is Krishna Tanari. He's a CPA certified accountant. He's still working at the Fairfax Media for the Age newspaper, and he used to work for Coca-Cola company as assistant finance manager. And the third speaker will be Michael and Dominic. They're from Robinvale area, and they're the farmers and they're the growers, and they've been doing farming contract and the business people as well. And they've been in whole, they're just in the farm business. So if you got any questions in the end, please ask them, and they'll give us a bit of insight about their experience with Indian exporters or the farming, whatever questions we have. Okay, what are we going to cover today? Our outline, what are we going to cover? What does Australia export to the world? That's the main thing. The second one, I want to compare India and China from 1970 to 2030. It's around 50 years. This is very important because this is what will let you know what is our biggest target market. Okay, what is our target markets in future? And I'll teach you some basics of exporting, how it works in a very easy steps and a simple steps. And perspective of our farmers and growers like Michael, Dominic, everybody, they give us a bit of a perspective today. Okay, the first topic is, what does Australia export to the world? Australia actually exports around 2,000 items to the world, and there are few items I'm just going to show you. And there are 4 major items, that is iron ore, coal, gold, education are the major items which Australia exports to the world. And recently copper, aluminium has become major exports as well. Because I'm talking about the food products today, I divided the wheat and the beef and the fruits into a different section. If I want to club these fruits, beef, wheat, rice, everything into one section, it's going to beat the gold. So just want to divide into a few sections there. And taking the fruits and oil seeds, compared to rest of other items, fruit and oil seeds is growing around 48% per year. And I could have gone from 2000 as well, but 2000, 2001, 2002, the fruits and oil seed business is growing around 100%. But from last 3 years, it's growing around 48%. And none of the other materials like iron, coal, gold, whatever you take, they might be increasing 5%, decreasing at 10%. Last year, gold was down 20%. But fruits and food business is just increasing every year. Okay, what are the major countries Australia to export? If you see, there is China is number 1, and then India is at number 4. If you look at China, this same graph 10 years ago or 11 years ago, Japan used to be one of the number 1 trading partner with Australia. And everybody buying Japanese cars or Japanese televisions, Japanese Walkmans and everything else. Nobody knows about China. In just last 10 years, China has become number 1 trading partner. And India 10 years ago, if I have put the graph here, you wouldn't have known. There are 197 countries trading with Australia as per moment. India used to be around 60 or 70th place. We are at 4th place. And we are going to replace Korea and Japan in the next 4 or 5 years. And it's not that far away. Okay. This is I'm explaining because you need to know what are our target markets. China's economy from 1970 till 2012. Okay. It's the second largest economy in the world, and it's going to replace America in next 15-20 years as the single largest economy. And 10 years ago, they said China will take 100 years to replace America as a largest economy. And 5 years ago they said it's going to take 50 years. And now, 2013, they say it's going to take 10 years. We don't even know. It might even go in next 4 or 5 years. In 1970, it was $91 billion. That is a very, very small economy, Chinese economy. Nobody even heard about China in those days. It is going through rapid colonialism, communism, and they had a lot of problems. In 1970, that's when the China started investing in their country, while India was sleeping, doing nothing about it. It's still close to the world. By 1980, 1975, it's $161 billion. It's not much compared to the world, but in 1975 it was okay, as close as to Australian economy. When you come to 1980, $188 billion, it's a little bit steady growth. In 1985, $304 billion. And 1990, I'll put this in LOI, just remember this one in 1990, because we are comparing China and India. It's $354 billion economy China. It's still small, but for them it's big. From there, it took 20 years China to invest in money. Telecommunication, they invested, roads, airports, they have started investing everywhere. They're taking quicker decisions. From there, see the rapid increase of the Chinese economy, $728 billion. 1.1 in 5 years doubled up. 2005, $2.243 trillion. 2010, $5.8 trillion. 2012, $8.2 trillion. And if you go till 2013, it's almost coming close to $9 trillion, this economy. So always remember the mid part, 354. Now see the graph of China. From 1970 till 1980, it is exact. It's not going much. It's not going much. Not that they're not doing anything else. They have been spending money on building airports. I was in Shanghai. There was only one bridge in whole Shanghai in 1970. Now there are 9,000 bridges in Shanghai. That was all built in 1970 to 1980, and they're still building it. And in 1985, when they started investing it, the whole Chinese government bought all the kids to celebrate for opening a bridge. For them, it's opening a bridge is a big thing because nobody's helping them. They're a communist country. But this, and by in 20 years, because of the investments they had, it's 8.3 trillion economy. Now we go for India's GDP. Again, look at 1990s of China. It's at $350 billion, right? So India is the fourth largest economy in the world according to purchase power parity. Purchase power parity is how much we can buy for a dollar. In 1970, roughly the same as China, $60 billion. 1975, roughly as China. In 1980, same, similar. 1985, in 1985, we're actually a bit better than China. In 1990, we're almost close to China. I said $350 billion. Here it's $316 billion. And India hasn't invested anything there. It's still closed to much of the world. It was only open to the country called USSR, a little bit open there, doing the trading there, only with the East. That's when our government realized we didn't have any money. We have to open up to the world. We doesn't want to be self-reliant anymore. We want to do trade with the world. And that's when we started investing in 1991, 1992. So if any country when they invest, take 20 years for the investment to bear the fruit. Like if you start growing a big mango plant or almond plant, it takes 7 or 8 years to give the maturity. So for a country, if it starts investing, the maturity level is 20 years. Either you break in 20 years or you make in 20 years. So same as what happened in China in 1970, it's same thing happened here in India in 1990. Started investing a little bit, not much growth. 2010, see from 2010, exactly 20 years, the economy started hit boom, $1.5 trillion. And in just 2 years, $1.8 trillion. And by 2015, it's going to be $3 trillion or $2.5 trillion. It just, the economy is booming like no tomorrow. This is what it is. We are going, just the graph is going slowly till 2010. Our investments are just completed, and we still got to do more investments. Coming, we've got heaps of airports now. Every city has their own airport, every city has their own big industries. This is what it is. See the graph here. Till 1990, we are the same. The bluish China went up. Okay? And we are just following. From here, we will start at 2010. You'll think, why am I giving the resemblance? If you see China from 1970 till what happened till 1990, 1990 to 2010. That's what India is going to be from 2010 to 2030. About India and why India. Okay, we have to discuss why are we taking a target market as India. First of all, a lot of people here are Indians. We speak the languages. And India is the only country which has 50 cities, more than 1 million people. There is no other country with 1 million people in 50 cities, and they're very, very closely connected. And if you see here, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, this all south, they all become really rich at the moment. The GDP, the 4-5 states GDP is more than all the GDP of the north, east and west together. And I need to mention about India. India is the only country has come out of the colonialism and become democratic and remain as democratic. No other country in the world came out of colonialism and became democratic. You can take African countries, they have dictatorships, they have other problems, everything else. And India is the only country stayed there. And India's got 40% of the money in the savings. And India is a free, there is a lot of criticism about India. We criticize about India. India has got criticism because it's a free media. Even in states like Hyderabad, where I come from, Andhra Pradesh, they got like 29 or 30, just the news channels. We are a criticizing country and we are acceptable for criticism. We go to a party, we criticize each other. It's okay, next time morning we say, hello, this is acceptable criticism. And India's poverty in 1983 used to be around 70 to 80%. In 2013, the Indian poverty has become 29%. It has drastically decreased from 1990 till 2012 because of our economic reforms, which has been going for the last 20 years. And population of India, why we need to talk about population? We'll be talking about population for next 5 minutes because country is not made of mud or bricks or airports, it's made of people. So people is the one who is going to consume everything, the fuel, the gold, the food and everything. We've got 1.3 billion people, which is 53 times the population of Australia. And 1/3 of that land of Australia. Our land is such a small land. And 50 cities with 1 million or more population. At the moment, in last 3-4 years ago, there was 180,000 millionaires in India, 180,000. That was 2 years report in Forbes magazine. And in just 2 years, see what happened in India. 320,000 millionaires. He's just doubled up. Doubled up. India is adding 4 million subscribers to internet every single month. Means 4 million people are getting some knowledge from somewhere. And the 6th largest billionaire population in the world. I'm just waiting for the Forbes to release the new one. I'm not sure, it can be 5th. 29% of India is under poverty. Still people are under poverty where they're not making much money because they're still in working as laborers in rural areas. But if you see the positive side, there is 71% people above the poverty. They can actually buy money. These 71 people is above middle class, lower middle class, and richer class. In 1983, India used to be called as pyramid economy. The pyramid economy is it's like a small cone of a rich people sitting there, and there is a small section of middle class and large section of poorer class in India. In 2013, India is termed to be as a diamond economy. Means a little bit bubble of rich people staying on the top, millionaires and billionaires and people like that. And see the middle class, it's been increasing a lot. In 1993, if we talk about upper middle class or middle class who can afford, you're talking about 20 or 30 or 40 or 15 million people, something roughly like that. But at the moment, the middle class is increasing rapidly, and the poor are going to get smaller and smaller. Top 10 importing countries in the world. If we look at it again, USA is number 1 importing country in the world, and India is number 10. And it's going to be number 5 by 2015. We are not that far away from Netherlands, South Korea, or Italy. And India has never ever been that big economy before. India was only just, used to be around 70th or 80th place in importing country. India's economic trade, GDP is $1.8 trillion. $1.8 trillion. India does imports and exports roughly around $600 billion. Our India, if you see, a lot of people talk about software, a lot of people talk about construction, real estate, industries. They're all small, like $20 billion, $30 billion, $40 billion. But Indian exports and imports is $500 billion economy, which is almost 45 to 50%. And we are not there. And this, all the trade is done by other people. This is done by Malaysians, this is done by Singaporeans because all the oil and gold comes there. From Middle East people, very less amount of Indians trade, they send it overseas. Not many people import, but it's the biggest economy and the biggest share is taken by other people, not Indians itself. Because you're more into concentrating software or just the building sector, which is a minute one. Go back here. Now, 10 wealthiest cities in India. When we talk about real estate, let's say we want to buy a house in Melbourne, you have to talk about which has got the more population, what is our wealthiest city there, where I'm going to get the capital growth, what is our markets. Same thing when you're doing exports. It can be gold, it can be fruits, it can be anything else you're doing exports to India. First of all, you should identify what are the cities you're going to target. And first find out the wealthiest cities because it's importing product. So if you see Mumbai, one of the number 1 city, Delhi from north, I just put the areas west and north. You can see Kolkata east, Chennai is south, and Chennai is the one which produces most skilled manpower in India. It's got more universities, it produces more skilled manpower. Then Hyderabad is south, Bangalore is south. Bangalore is the one city which produces more software than entire India combined, and it's in south, and they're highly paid employees there. Ahmedabad, it's in Gujarat. Pune, it's in the west. Maharashtra, Surat, Nagpur. I put it here to show 20-30 years ago, North used to be very well developed, or North used to be better than South. But 20 years later, see that everywhere you see is South, wealthiest cities. In 20 years, a rapid change. And till now, I was discussing about middle class. What is middle class? In India, for us, anybody who is earning 100 rupees or 200 rupees or 400 rupees a day, we consider them as a middle class. Middle class is somebody who is earning between $10 till $100 a day, a middle class. So its purchasing power parity is 50 to 500. What is purchasing power parity? If I had the $10 in India, I could buy $50 worth of products. In America, $10 buys me only $10 worth of products. In America, the latte is $3.20, but I can go to India and buy a coffee, brew coffee or something for 5 rupees, 20 rupees or something like that. So with $3, I can buy maybe 10 coffees. So that's called a purchasing power parity. India is projected to have the single largest middle class by 2030. When they say 2030, it becomes by 2025. 2025, believe me, that fast it is. Strength of middle class in 2009, 1.8 billion people. If they're projected to double up in 2020, and 4.9 billion in 2030. Strength of middle class in Asia, which is very close to Australia, very close, it's $3.2 billion. Remember, 20 million and 3.2 billion people, that's 3,200 million people, very close to Australia. And strength of middle class in Europe, 680 million, it's not much. North America, 320, Americans and Canadians can feed them. By 2030, India is going to have the largest middle class, that's $475 million. 475 million people. And Australia will have that time by 30 million or 35 million. And India is going to have 2.5 billion population, 2.5 billion, 2,500 million. And Australians are already crying that they are going to have 35 to 40 million people, and they don't know where to fit it. India has only got 1/3 land. We're talking about 2,500 million people. And these are the most populous cities in India. I have to tell you about the most populous cities because when we trade with India, first of all, not only knowing the wealthiest cities, you need to know the populous cities as well. And if you link with that, if you take a subset of populous cities and wealthy cities and put together, and if you do a trade, and I had an experience with it, it's the best thing to do. You will not lose any money there. First one comes Mumbai. That's why we have a port there. Everything goes to Navaseva Mumbai. Then comes the Delhi. Delhi doesn't have a port, so everything goes to the Mumbai or Calcutta port. Bangalore, Chennai port. Hyderabad, it's from Chennai port. Ahmedabad, Chennai. See the millions of people there in just Mumbai, 18 million people. 18 million people in just one little city. And it's not even the size of Melbourne. It's much smaller than Melbourne. And we feed them like no tomorrow. Delhi is 60. Kolkata 14 million. Surat 4 million. Pune. Jaipur. Reason for the food shortages. A lot of people will think, we had a green revolutions around 1980s and 1970s where India became self-reliant. India became self-reliant for wheat, India became self-reliant for rice and onions and few other items. Indian politicians have done a major mistake thinking Indians, food security in India means giving 2 rupees rice or 10 cents rice or something like that, and a bit of oil and a bit of sugar. They think it's a food security. That was okay in 1980s. But nowadays people are not interested just providing them with rice or wheat, 25 kilos or 50 kilos. They do curries every time. They need fruits, they need vegetables, they need everything else. Can India produce everything else? Absolutely not, because 224 million people are undernourished. They still have to be fed, but the land is not increasing. I'll come back to that, how much land we have. And we've got fastest growing middle class and upper class, and they're all moving into the urban areas. And urban areas are increasing by 7% a year. I showed Mumbai 18 million people. By the time we start exporting, it'll be 19 million people. It's just in Mumbai. It's just increasing every day. And the climate changes is not letting India to grow more. And our pollution, because we're creating water problem there, water shortages, and India uses a lot of water from underground water. Every 10 feet of water you go underground is going to reduce your productivity by 10%. India doesn't have channels and it's impossible to create right now. We are going to use underground water and it's depleting. And we all know we had monsoons, climate changes, water scarcity. And what is India's burden? Every 10 years, India's food consumption is going to be doubled. It's not that population is going to double every 10 years. It might increase by 10 to 15%, but people incomes are rising. People are able to afford it more. People waste more. People are going to urban areas more, and they're watching TVs. And I would like to mention about internet. I mentioned 4 million people are using internet every month. Same like that, cable TV is being reached by 4 million people every single month in India, because we still got another 1,200, around 800 million people who have to be reached by internet and by cable TV. In 1990s, if somebody heard, we had a big problem in India. People said there is a AIDS epidemic in India. A lot of people will get AIDS, and government wants to decrease these diseases. They don't know what to do with it, and they're trying to give ads in Doordarshan. They started sending the doctors everywhere. They started to give the medicines everywhere, but nothing is happening. The people are getting disease more and more, and they thought we're going to have largest population of AIDS in India from 1990 till 2010. But surprisingly, what happened was we got cable TV into India, and the cable TV started going into the villages and everywhere else, and the cable TV has given us so much impact and knowledge about the food, about the diseases, about the things, and epidemic actually stopped. And cable TV is the single biggest reason. When I say cable TV, it's like a Foxtel or Star TV, is the biggest single reason for Indians to be educated. Not the government, not the public sector, it's just the TV. We're watching the Western TV more, we want to be like a Westerners, we want to eat like Westerners, do like Westerners. That's how it is. Every 10 years, Indian food can double. Meat consumption is doubling every 10 years. Economically, people are eating more. Dairy consumption every 10 years is going to double up. As I mentioned about TV, people are reading more magazines, more newspapers are coming in India. We used to have 1 or 2 newspapers in olden days, black and white, not much information. Now people are reading magazines, newspapers, every Sunday or Thursday you look at it. It's always about health, how to cook, cooking shows. And this is one of the thing I want to mention to you. 2.4 world's geographical land. That's all we got. That's all we got. And we only got the 4% of water in the world, right? Nothing else. When I say geographical land, you have to take the whole globe into the picture. And see how much we have to support. 20% of world's population has to be supported in just 2.4% of world's geographical land. And we have 15% of world livestock. India is the largest world livestock, the cattle. And population growth in India. When I'm talking to you every slide, when I'm finishing every slide, there are 29 people are adding up in India right now. And every hour, by the time we finish this presentation and we go out of this presentation, there are 6,000 people. I came here at 2 o'clock, I'm going to finish by 5 o'clock. There are 6,000 people added up there. And per day, tomorrow morning you wake up, there is 45,000 people in India just born, and we have to feed it there. And per month, there is 1.3 million people. By the time we put some fruits in our container and send it to India, that's 45 days. But by the time you got 1.3 and a half, like 2 million people, just you have to feed. And per year, it's adding in Australia. You got 16 million people added per year. Okay, key drivers and trends. This is the first single factor, that's why I put it the urbanization. Indians, a lot of Indians are moving into Mumbai. In 1983, Mumbai used to have 4-5 million population. Now it's gone to 18, 19, and it's going to be 21, 22 population. And every city is increasing urbanization. As soon as you go to urban area, your income increases, your knowledge increases, you learn more, and you want to eat more. Rising income levels, which I just mentioned. Exposure to global culture. We want to be like Westerners, we want to eat like Westerners, and Westerners want to eat like us. It's just the interchanging of cultures. Everybody wants to be like different like everybody else. Retail revolutions. In 1980 till 2005 or 2003, Indian retail sector is mostly based like in a very small kirana shops. Very kirana shops. They used to have only few products, maybe 200 products or 300 products. Mom and dad just take their own containers, buy it from kirana shop. But now we got supermarkets, the retail revolution. As soon as you go into the shop, in kirana shop, before we used to only see the wheat, rice, sugar, oil and things like that. Not many products. Now we got retail revolution like big supermarkets, Reliance supermarket, food stores, and even in small towns we got supermarkets. Whenever you go inside, you look at different kind of foods, different kinds of foods. So people wanted to eat more, buy more. Specialty restaurants. Now in India we never used to have so many restaurants before. It's all like small restaurants where we used to have called messes, where we used to pay $1 unlimited food and things like that. But now you go to restaurants. Restaurants are everywhere now, specialties. And they're when I speak to the people in these restaurants, they'll want to have the quality products like apples, grapes, and things like that. The import regulations have relaxed from last 10 years. Duties have started to come down. It's making it much more easier. What India needs? India needs 3 things. One is proteins, and India economical reasons or whatever reasons it is, we do not consume enough protein. Even the people eat meat in India, let's say North Indians, 70% North Indians are vegetarians, and 30% Indians are, South Indians are vegetarians. You take Buddhism, Jainism, and economical reasons as well. And in our Western countries, they eat meat every single day. Indians can't afford it. Even I eat non-vegetarian, I can only afford once or twice a day because it's too expensive. Okay. That's why the protein, the content has to be replaced by nuts, lentils, and pulses. India is one of the most, we grow a lot of lentils. We are the #1 grower of lentils and pulses, but it's not enough. India grows 13 million tons of lentils and pulses, but our demand is 19 million. And there is something called FDI coming up, food security bill. At food security bill, all 700 million Indians will definitely get lentils and pulses just for 2 rupees or 3 rupees, like 5 cents or 10 cents. It's a guarantee. So India doesn't have enough production for it. They have to import it. Next one is sugars. We need healthy sugars. We just can't rely on normal sugar anymore. We need fruits, healthy sugars. Then we need juices. It's just the juice market is increasing by 20 to 30% every single year. Then milk powder. We produce the #1 producer of milk in the world. We still have shortage of milk, so we have to get the milk powder. I would like to give you small steps involved in export with my experience. It's first I'll tell you about 3 little steps. This is how we make. I'm going to give small examples how we make money as an exporter, how much money we make, and as an Indian who imports it, how much money they make. So it'll be very surprising here. First thing, pick a product. It doesn't matter what product it is. It can be apple, it can be grape, it can be lentil, whatever it is. Pick a product and research on the product. Find a right marketplace. This is what we are talking about. Why India is a right marketplace? Because we're Indians and it's growing like no tomorrow. Source a supplier. In Australia, if anybody wants to become an exporter, the biggest single challenge is to find a supplier. You can always find a buyer in India. You call up today and they say, "Oh, please send me." They'll allow to buy the foreign goods, but the supplier is the biggest problem. Price the product, and I will show you how to price the product for export. And find the buyer. Buyers is very easy to get in India. That is not a problem. It's a supply. Transportation of products. Customer support. 3 steps. Get the supply from the farmer. Shipped to the importer. Just 3 steps. We are not growing anything here. We are not taking any risk. It's the farmer who takes the risk. He is the one who grows it for 7 years or 4 years or 2 years. He is the one who is going to put money on the land. He is the one who is going to look for the rain. The rain is going to come. He is the one who is taking the maximum risk. And the shipping agents are going to take it to India or China, wherever. They're all insured. If something happens, they pay you the money. So you're just giving to the importer. So your risk is very less. All you're doing is putting up the 3 things together and making your 10% or 30% profit. Your risk is very, very less compared to the farmers. And importers distribution center, let's say one of a few friends asked me when I was making these slides, okay, you can make money here, but what if I want to go to India and I want to import your product and I want to make in India? Right. First, in India, we send you the product. As an importer, you get the product. It clears the product. Straight away, we put in the cold storages. This is exactly how it works in India. It straight away goes into cold storages. From there, we talk to the wholesaler. We go to the fruit markets and source the buyer, the wholesaler. And he does this, because they've been doing it for last 70 years or 60 years or 40 years. They got a lot of retail chains, a lot of hotels, everything else. They call up and say, I got this product you want to buy. And retailers come and they just keep on buying it. This is the first step of as an importer, okay? Because you've got 2 or 3 steps where you lose money. Or you can do one more thing. You can have your own retail chains, talk to Reliance companies or talk to food worlds or talk to small specialty shops. Importer can do that. You can keep the 20% margin. And modes of payments. There are 4 types of payments here. This one I want to talk to you about in 5 minutes because a lot of people are worried, how are we going to get payment from India? Payments is a big, big thing. So there are 4 things. One is letter of credit, documents acceptance, open account, and prepayments. This is how it is. We are the exporters and importers. That's how we're going to deal with the payment things. So usually this whole process of export, it actually takes this 90 days. By the time you ship it from a farmer to the Melbourne, by the time you clear the quarantine, it's around 10 days. Then you find the connecting ship. The travel is around 25 to 30 days. Let's say 30 days, that's 40 days. By the time the banks or something pays you the foreign currency, it's another 15 days. So the process can be around 45 to 90 days where your money is struck. So you're not actually buying a physical asset like real estate, where it's going to be there for 5 years, 6 years or 10 years. In 90 days, you will know what your money is. Risk in export business. First thing, majority export businesses, the risks are political risks. And India has always been a democratic country and will always remain as a democratic country. And if you see, biggest human trend every 5 years in Indian one, when the elections of India come, there are 800 million people brought to the voting booths. That's a human people coming, 800 million people. So bribery and corruption, it always happens in big countries, but not anymore in India regarding the imports and exports. Quarantine compliant rules, sometimes the quarantine can't get through from Melbourne ports, then we can tell the farmer, sorry, it's your problem now. But if it goes, quarantine gets cleared, it doesn't get cleared in India, we take insurances for that. Usually it shouldn't happen. If something happens, the temperatures are not right and shipping has to pay you the insurances. Exchange rate risk. In 12 months of the time, every country has this exchange rate problem once a year in a month. It might increase by 5%, it might decrease by 10%, it increase by again 10%. It can happen then. So if you're doing it 12 months of a year, that exchange risk is covered. Non-payment risk. This is the biggest non-payment risk. That's why we need to know about the payment types and what we need to do. Before I go there, I want to go and talk to you about LCs. LC is nothing but a letter of credit. Or what happens is the importer will not pay you the money yet. He'll create you a letter of credit that he says, I got some money, I'll pay you in next 30 days. As soon as the product receives this, the importer's bank will give us the money. So the money is not lost there. And documents acceptance. As soon as the container reaches, they check the documents. If the documents are right, if you say you're sending grapes, you get it. And a prepayment. This is one of the best payment if somebody pays you in advance. That's a good payment, no risk. But it's called open account. One more, it's called, you send the product, it's on a consignment. And the wholesaler takes the product, he won't pay you the money. He'll sell it, whatever he sells, he gives you the money. That's the riskiest one. But sometimes it does happen. But prepayment, nobody does it, never happens. Let's say this is how much, what is the cost going to land in India. Let's say we had an Australian farmer, 1 kilo of grapes, they're going to give us $1.50. $1.50. Then our shipping and logistics, let's say cost is 50 cents. And India has a high tariff rates, custom duties. That's 34.5% custom duty. And clearance in Mumbai port is 0.02. And landed cost is 2.77. That's all the cost you have. And even the shipping and logistic 50 cents per kilo, that's a huge. I just put it on the higher side. And our profits, and as an exporter, our profits, let's say we put 10%, it's the lower side. By the time it reaches India, it's $3 per kilo in grapes. That's 167 rupees 75 cents as per today's value. 167. If you really look into India, 1 kilo of red globe grapes in India, 167, it's very cheap. People pay that money for apples. People pay that money for some other little foods in India itself. In 2012, when I was exporting to India, that was in Mumbai it was 400 rupees per kilo, and in Coimbatore it was 300 rupees. That's from Times of India as well, just to make sure. So the difference is we are sending it to the importer there for 167 rupees, but in the market price is around 300. It's double the price. So how this margins going in, when we give it to 167 rupees in India, and the markdown, the wholesaler puts his 10% profit and he gives it, and it becomes $184. And when it goes to retail stores, like Food World or whatever store, Reliance, they add the 25% markup and they sell it at 231 rupees. That's still cheap. And India is a lot of middle class can afford it, foreign product. And benefits of a larger group. And before I used to do an export as a one single person, let's say I'm doing an export, I'm only doing it 10 containers. The fixed costs are always the same. Let's say I've got electricity, telephone costs, I got an office, and things like that. There are some fixed costs. Like say this company, one structure we have. Let's say I've been doing 20 containers a month or 20 containers a year. My fixed costs are always 100,000. The rent, telephone, my petrol charges, catching up with the clients. Okay, let's say the profit is $100,000. That's enough for one person and one company. Let's say I'm doing 40 containers. My expense won't be doubled up. My expenses only just goes a little bit up. But my profit doubles up. Let's say I'm doing 60 containers. My profit triples. Sometimes your expenses just get stagnated there, but your profits keep on increasing. So why do we need this profits keep on increasing? For that 45, 90 days, I just can't buy 1 or 2 containers and try to make money, a lot of money. For that 45, 90 days, we need some money, like a million or whatever, staying there to buy 20 containers at a time or 30 containers at a time to send it. Whether I send 1 container or whether I send 10 or 15 containers at a single point of time, the expense remains the same. The profit doubles up. Exit strategy. If somebody wants to get out of the exporting business, he doesn't want to stay anymore, the circumstances can change. He's going out of the country, or they're getting married, or they've got a better opportunities or something else. This export business will never have any physical assets. And the physical assets are very nominal. You can exit in 6 months' time, because by the time it goes to India or China or Middle East, by the time the money comes in and when the accountant is free in 6 months' time, they can take the profit, they can take the money, and they can exit. Or they can, and the profits in this one is distributed at every season. It's not like real estate again, remember that. It won't take 7 years or 10 years. That's how we buyback strategy. Let's say somebody has 10% share, somebody has 8% share, somebody has 11%. And he thinks, I want to sell it back, just tell us the company will buy back. Just give us 6 months time, an accountant will get an independent valuation for it. As per the independent valuation, you can buy it back. Or you can reinvest and everything else. And we have, I haven't given all the information here because we don't have much time and it can get too long here. We made a booklet, Encore booklet there, which, that's one white booklet there. It has all the information there. If you want it, Krishna will be there. You can talk to Krishna about that. Thank you guys for all coming, and I finished my presentation. I would like Krishna to come up here. And just give them a bit of an update about this book, the business plan, and if anybody wants it. It has actually taken a long time for us to make this 6 months, everything.
Thank you, Hari. Thanks for sharing so good information. It's so big, and it's all good except that a few guys are struggling to keep their eyes open. So, apart from now, obviously, you have seen the potential of the business. Generally, what happens is that you normally go back home, shake hands and go back home, watch TV. The next day starts as normal. Not this time though. We decided to exploit this potential in the export business. Definitely. When Harry mentioned about the export business 2 years ago, obviously it was so good, and I did the same thing. Went back home, watched TV. Started as normal, and second year when he came back again, said about the company and the profits available in the business. That time he actually shared the actual trading activities for the business as well. So I was so excited, and I didn't want to do it in a small scale. We definitely wanted to do it in a bigger scale, where obviously Hari shown that the larger the group, the better the profits. So we really want to do it in a big manner. That's the reason why we actually spent about 6 months time in developing a business plan for the company. So much informative. We hired one ex-KPMG consultant to develop the constitution of the company as well. And to give assurance to the investors, we hired one auditor, external auditor, who will be doing the auditing of financial statements end of the every financial year, and so that investors can get assurance on the investments. So it's a big thing. We are going for a treasure hunting. When we go for a treasure hunting, we better not to carry a small bag. We better take a big truck. So let's go as a big team, make good money in there. There's a lot of potential in there. I've seen myself. I can watch for it. As a qualified accountant, I know what the numbers look like. Let's do it together. As a team, we can convert a great thing into a miracle. So obviously, please join if you have a chance to get into the business. Any questions about the business, on the financials, anything, you can give me a call anytime. My cards are here. You can take them, and yeah, start from here.
I just want to hear from Michael about how we can help us, because I told you the main reason for this business is suppliers. And Michael is here. We've done a multi-million business in the last 7 years, millions of dollars he has given me, and we've done a lot of business before. And he's here again. Dominic was here. They both helped me a lot in the last 7-8 years doing the business. And as a larger group, they're here to help us again, to explain us, how they can help us in giving us the produce. And have his experiences with some of the exporters he has as well.
You asked me a question.
Yeah, the question is that how you can help us as a larger group, because the supply is a.
Well, look, we both grow table grapes, and I export through another exporting company. I export table grapes to India. I've been doing it for the last 6-7 years through another exporting company. The other exporting company, I believe they have good success with exporting these grapes to India. But sometimes what happens is it's one man, it's not a group. The other exporting company that I provide the grapes to, it's just one man. And sometimes what they do is they take the money that they owe me, and they might put it into exporting something else, and that might not work. Right. So what's happening with exporting at the moment is there's a lot of exporters out there who are hurting the growers. Like, they're doing the wrong thing. They're not paying the money back to the growers. They're investing the money in other things, right? And the growers are getting hurt. It's not that the exporting to India or to wherever doesn't work. It works. It works well. But some of the exporters out there are very greedy people. I supplied grapes to Harry a couple of years back. Last year we done some more, and when Harry said he wants to create a bigger company, and this group here, and whether we'll put our support behind him, I said definitely, because I trust Harry with my money, trust Harry with my product. Okay, and I know for myself, if I can produce 50 or 60 containers of table grapes a year, I'll be more than happy to support what you guys are doing here. Absolutely.
That's a lot of money. That's why we need some money for that 45-90 days. Growers spends whole year spending money for growing grapes, fertilizers, and paying interest rates and everything else. And if you could give us them a lending hand, paying them 30 days before.
What would happen was, if you guys came to me, Harry, to buy grapes, or to Dominic, or to any grower, I think what you'll find is, if you can offer some sort of payment up front, providing you've got somebody on the ground representing your company to inspect the fruit and sign off that you're happy with the fruit and give it the tick of approval, and you come to me, or you went to another grower and you said, we can pay you 50% of the money right now, just to help you until the final payment comes, or something like that. It's me as a grower, if Harry came to me and said the going price for a box of Red Globe table grapes is $18 for 9 or 10 kilos. If you come to me and said, oh, I'm happy with the product that you've got here, I'll pay you up front for this particular container of grapes, but you've got to, instead of $18, I'm only prepared to pay you $16, but I'll pay you the money up front. Me personally, I'll be happy. I'll be happy because I'll get the money up front. And the extra $2 a box that I just dropped, which is probably $4,000 a container, that's your guy. That's for you guys to keep as a thank you.
So that's our profit here. We already made 15% here. We're beating the market price, and we are going to make in India another 10%.
You guys are probably sitting there thinking, this guy just dropped $4,000 in a container, and considering that I can do a container a day, that's $4,000 a day that I'm losing. You think this guy's crazy. But there's so many exporters out there that are doing the wrong thing by the growers that I'm happy to give it to you. I'm happy to give that $4,000 a container to you, as long as, I'd give you grapes on credit anyway, but it would definitely help us. And there's so many exporters doing the wrong thing by the growers and sending the growers, bankrupt. So, having money up front when you purchase the grapes, having money there to be able to offer the grower money up front, you find that in a few years when you've started establishing relationships with the growers, you'll get some growers that'll probably say, no, look, we've been working together for 5 or 6 years now. We'll give you 30 days to pay us, or 40 days to pay us, or 45 days. The initial startup, you'll need to pay some money up front to get the product.
And sometimes money from India might delay by 15-10 days. There's a currency transactions and things like that. Or we can cover that for 10-15 days for the grower. You can get it for cheap, you can make money. And this is highly potential. I said 50% of Indian economy runs on imports and exports. And I can see so many Australians exporting to India, hundreds of them. They're going to Chennai, they're going to Hyderabad, they're going to Mumbai. They set up their own offices and doing it. Why can't we do it as an Indian?
They do it. There's a company that I supply grapes to who's got an office set up in India. I'm not sure what state they've got it set up, but they've got an office. They've got a guy on the ground in India. When the fruit arrives, when the container arrives, it sits at the port for a little while.
7 days, 10 days.
Before it gets cleared. As soon as it gets cleared, the customer gets it. The company's representative is there as well, inspecting the fruit together. So they can't come back, there was a problem with the fruit or anything like that. It's really important to have a guy on the ground in Mildura, in Robinvale, looking at the product before you purchase the product, number one. Number two, have somebody on the ground in India, wherever the destination of the fruit ends up at its final place, have somebody there inspecting the fruit, making sure that it arrived in good condition and everything like that. And the business can just go bang. India with table grapes is an untouched market at the moment. The small amount of fruit, the small amount of grapes that is going to India at the moment, out of the Robinvale Mildura area, is very small. And I've always said to Harry, what better business than Indians supplying grapes to Indians? When Aussies are trying to supply grapes to Indians, or there's a Vietnamese exporter who's trying to buy grapes and supply to Indians, the language, the communication, it's hard. It's hard. Wires get crossed and things like that. But now for you guys here, what you're doing here, and you're going to target India, Indians sending grapes to India, sending things to India. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Anybody any questions?
Mr. Michael, you are saying that you've been doing since last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of problems did you face, from Indian, buyers? Can you just do you have any problems?
The problem was more with the exporter. So Melbourne was a Melbourne-based company, right? And I was giving him 30-day terms, and and you know, his payments were late. It was just especially last year. It had been very good up until last year. Then last year's payments were late and things like that. And we sat down in a room and we started talking. I said to him, "Did you have any problems with the fruit?" "No, I didn't." Yeah, he owed me quite a bit of money. "No, I didn't have any problems with the fruit. The fruit was beautiful fruit." "Okay. Did you have any problems with your buyer in India? Your buyer, did he not pay you?" "No, he paid. They always pay. Yeah, they always pay." "Well, what's the problem then?" "I took your money and he was trying to import grapes from the USA into Australia. So he used my money to buy grapes out of the USA, and he was paying the growers up front, you know, for that fruit. And then when the fruit arrived in Australia, there was issues with the fruit, and he basically lost my money like that. Not that there was any problems with the fruit, or not that there was any problems with the buyer in India not paying him or anything like that. No, he admitted, he said, no issues like that. There's never been any issues like that. The thing is, they take the money, they put it in the wrong place. They use my money to do something else. You know?
Why would he buy fruit from USA to put it here when he could get it from you?
No, it's seasonal. The fruits, my season finishes early June. Early June, middle of June, Australian table grapes are finished. Right, then sort of mid-July, the USA's table grapes start. And he was importing it because there was no grapes in the in Australian supermarkets and things like that, and he was importing it because he wanted to try and do 12 months of the year. So, yeah, that's how.
What's the complete cycle of the grape? From
The cycle?
Yeah.
January right through until you know, like I said, in middle of June.
Six months time.
Yeah. Now some people can store grapes can store for a long time. You know, grapes can
Is the rest of 6 months? Said from Jan to June, you'll be having one crop, but after June again you'll be having a second crop, or
No,
or a different fruit.
No, that's it.
If you take a globe like this, if you draw a line equator, the Canada and European continent and America is on the northern side, and Australia and New Zealand is on the southern side. So when they have a summer, we have winter. When we have a winter, they have a summer. So it's opposite. So we don't clash with the fruits. So America is very, very competitive market, and we compete with America. With fresh produce, we don't compete with America because when we have it, they don't have it. It's an opposing. The whole European Union is gone, America is gone, Canada is gone. Only Australia is supplying for China, India, Malaysia, all the southeastern countries at the moment. Yeah. That's why we are very beneficial.
But in Australia, or for this exporting company, you could export fruit to India or to different sorts of fruit 12 months of the year. The table grapes finish, the citrus starts. The citrus finishes, the stone fruit starts. The stone fruit's still going, mangoes start, cherries, almonds. Before you know it, it's January again, the grapes have started again. Apples. You know, in Australia there's so much. There's so much.
10 years ago, somebody was telling me almonds from Australia, India used to buy 5%. He said they're going to buy almost all the almonds from here. I didn't believe it. I thought he was just giving all these stupid calculations, you know. I went there, and I was working with almond company last year, you know that, we were there for 6 months. And 70% of almonds from Australia are going to India. He was actually right 10 years ago. And apples, and 4 or 5 years ago, not much India is to buy. Now it is importing millions of tons of apples now from Australia, New Zealand, everything else. And grapes just started. And stone fruit just started. It's all just starting. When you're not here, it's finished.
See, you got everything in your hand, but 90% of the time, the issue is with the payments.
The issues are the payments. The issues, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. The issues are the payments, and the issues are the exporter doing the wrong thing by the grower. That's all. If there's, as Harry explained, if there's an issue with the shipping, you put the fruit in a container, you ship it to India. You put temperature recorders to record, there's 2 temperature recorders put in that container, one at the front, one at the back. records the air temperature. If there's a malfunction with the container, with the motor, the recorder will give you a printout and it'll tell you day by day the temperature that fruit's been travelling at. If there's any issues, there's insurances to cover that sort of thing. You know, so the risk is minimal. It's the exporter doing the wrong thing. They can make big money. Exporting produce can make big money, and it's just some exporters, they do the wrong thing with the money. Like they take my money and go and buy grapes out of the USA and things like that.
But he said he never had any problem with Indian buyers. Actually.
No, the Indian buyers
Yeah,
were great. I saw emails
Mm.
that the Indian buyer was sending to the company that I was supplying, was saying that 2,000 boxes, one container is about 1848, say 2,000 rough figures, and he said that it sold at great pace. Within 3 days it was gone. Can you please send me more?
That's what our main concern actually. We are taking all measures to make sure it won't happen, because we're taking, and from the buyers especially, and make sure get the payments in time, without any proper risk.
When I was supplying to Mumbai 2012, Michael gave me a lot of grapes there. We done grapes, we done lentils, we done almonds, and he said I'll pay you in 5 days to 10 days, the wholesaler. And it was 20 days, 25 days, and I didn't hear anything. And I called him up and I said, "Oh, did you pay us, or what is happening here?" He said, "I paid you the second day." I said, "I don't believe you," because I was doing with a friend and money is going into his account. And he said, "I'll just give me half an hour, I'll send it to you." And he sent me all the bank statements, 10 lakhs, 1 million, half a million, 2 million, just keep on coming into the account. Keep on coming to the account. Then it's not that Indian people don't, they've been there for 80 years, 70 years in fruit market, is selling it. They want to be there for a long time. They don't want to get, and whatever we do, 10 containers, 15 containers, if you go to the market, we just sell it like that. India swallows 100 containers just like with the tip of a tongue. They want to be in the game. They keep on paying it. It's us, we do a wrong thing for the farmers. All we need is take our 10% or 15 or 20%. Don't be greedy, move on.
See, a lot of farmers have tried to, or they have thought about exporting direct. Go to